Mr. Speaker, first I would like to congratulate the Honorable Minister of Finance, Mr. Winston Jordan, and his competent and hard-working staff for preparing such a shrewd and a sagacious budget. A budget that eloquently outlined the path to prosperity.
Oh yes, oh yes, oh yes.
A place where we as Guyanese can enjoy the good life in a green economy.
Yes.
To achieve this, Mr. Speaker, measures will be implemented to stimulate growth while restoring confidence in the minds of our people.
Yes.
All of this, Mr. Speaker, will be executed in a historical and momentous year, a year in which we as Guyanese will join hands together in the celebration of our 50th independent anniversary. Before I continue, Mr. Speaker, let me rebut to some of my friends from the opposite side of this House. Being a teacher by profession, I will come to Upper Mazruni just. So being a teacher by profession, I've learned that you have to have the right conditions for a seed to germinate. 2011, when we took governance, we inherited a condition that could not allow a seed to germinate. And so we will have to fix it. We have to fix the conditions, and it will take time. And when the tree starts to bear fruits of transparency, accountability, we will enjoy the good life that this government will have to offer. Mr. Speaker, I was amazed yesterday when budget debate began to take side on colors. The yellow and green colors. Look how beautiful my colleague looks in her green and yellow. And look how handsome my brother over there looks in his in his red shirt. The colors of the national flag, red, green, red, white. They're beautiful black. They are beautiful colors. And you have a right, your fundamental right, your democratic right. If you want to wear green, wear it.
Yes.
If you want to wear red, wear it. If you want to wear yellow, wear it. You can come to this house red and dread. And we on this side will come to this house green and clean.
Yeah.
This administration stands firm on its words to materialize the promises made on our campaign trail. We are of the firm belief that every single Guyanese, regardless of geographical location, ethnicity, or religion, should be able to enjoy the good life. That, Mr. Speaker, this administration is committed to realize. In this regard, our people can expect the following changes. Change from an economy that is fragile and unstable to one that is vibrant and robust. Change from an unsanitary, unhealthy, and unsafe environment to one that is healthier and eco-friendly. These are some of the changes this administration will be propelling and will be doing so, Mr. Speaker, amid sputtering global economy. Mr. Speaker, as I would have anticipated, there were a lot of frivolous statements made prior to the commencement of this debate and during the debate sessions. One that was conspicuous, Mr. Speaker, was that Budget 2016 was a repackage. We heard statements and descriptive words like vampire budget. I will accept vampire budget if I should define it, vampire budget that sucks the blood of corruption from what's flowing in the veins of the previous administration. Well, if you want to say it's a bulldozer, we're going to bulldoze the soil of corruption that we inherited so that we can have a budget. We have a budget that's a people's budget. Mr. Speaker, I would like to ask the opposition members, is the construction of mini hydropower stations at Kaimara, Kumu, Tiger Hill a repackage? Is the development of a milk pasteurization plant and construction of an agriculture station repackaged? Is the complete rehabilitation of the Soesdijk-Linden Highway repackaged? And I can go on and on, Mr. Speaker. These are all strategic projects designed to resuscitate and catapult our economy. These projects were strategically crafted to guide our economy and country towards a glide path to prosperity. Mr. Speaker, when the opposition members speak of a repackaged budget, I'm sure they are referring to a budget that is transparent, a budget that has a clear vision, and one that is free from pork barrel politics. Mr. Speaker, this administration stands firm on our commitment, I repeat, to get rid of corruption and improve transparency. Yet, when we initiated the process of recovering our national assets and investigating corruption, we were accused of witch hunting. Mr. Speaker, I would like to ask the honorable members on the opposite side, are they saying that we should concede to corruption? The answer, of course, from this side of this house is resounding no. Mr. Speaker, I'm enjoying the attention that I'm getting from the opposite side. However, Mr. Speaker, what I am getting at is persons who are convicted of wrongdoing in our public sector should face the full brunt of the law. That is justice, not witch hunting. Mr. Speaker, allow me yet to address another issue at hand. The PPPC-led administration often advocates for pluralism. Yet, when the position for Deputy Speaker was offered by this administration, a paragon of democracy, the opposition vehemently refused to occupy the post. Is the opposition against their own mantra of pluralism? Or is it, Mr. Speaker, or is it that they can't come to grip to deal with the fact that when the Guyanese people meant that they wanted change, they meant it? And so I can't understand why the members on the opposite side said incompetent government. If the Guyanese knew that we were incompetent, they would have never voted for us on May 11th. This government This government is not representing 51% of the Guyanese population. We are representing every single Guyanese across the length and breadth of this blessed land, including members of the opposition, Mrs. Speaker.
Yes, Priya. Chili.
Mr. Speaker, let me come to the measures that this budget 2016 has to offer. One, decrease in fuel price. By doing this, we will be on par with other developing countries who are taking the initiative of cutting greenhouse gas emission, a policy that is consistent with the LCDS and backed by the opposition members. By using vehicles that are relatively new, the demand for spare parts will significantly be reduced, Mr. Speaker, along with the consumption of fuel. Mr. Speaker, in addition, if we were to look at some of the headlines in our local media, Guyana Times, February 3rd, 2016. Minibus burst into flames, Guyana Times, you heard me. Minibus burst into flames on Echoes Public Road. Cause of accident? Mechanical failure and faulty wiring. Guyana Times again, December 29th, victim on the road to recovery, cause of accident, brakes failure. Stabroek News, February 9th, 2016, senior cop, critical after crash, cause of accident, tire failure. And Mr. Speaker, if you look at today's Kaichur news, used tires are like a time bomb. Time bomb waiting to do energy. Are their lives and safety of our people not important to the members of the opposition side?
No.
Mr. Speaker.
She's getting there.
Mr. Speaker, I am coming to my ministry, but you don't have to tell me when, where, and how. Mr. Speaker, my question is how can the opposition members be so short-sighted in not noticing any measure or policy in the budget that stimulates production and restores confidence while creating wealth? Is it that they are buried in oblivion? Mr. Speaker, there is no single strategy or policy used to create wealth. Wealth is created through a combination of special crafted policies and measures, like the one the Honorable Minister Jordan alluded to in his budget speech. But simply, wealth is the increase in disposable income generated from an increase in aggregate demand. This can be achieved either through an increase in government spending, consumption, investment, or net export, while holding inflation in single digits. Mr. Speaker, my question is the reduction in excise tax and fuel price not creating wealth through the increase in disposable income? Is the investment of $40.3 billion on education not create wealth in the future by producing more productive citizens? These are some of the questions that I would like to ask. Then if these measures do not create wealth, then the members of the opposition are saying that money or knowledge is not wealth, something I find very obscure. Mr. Speaker, allow me, to expound on another matter that I found very, very interesting. One of the honorable members on the opposite side of this house, in his budget speech on Monday, said, and I quote, "The banking system is saddled with toxic loans." Mr. Speaker, I would like to thank the honorable member for bringing this issue to light. If I can recall clearly, the honorable member made reference to the Bank of Guyana third quarter statistical bulletin for 2015 to support his claim. Mr. Speaker, what the honorable member deliberately failed to mention was that the banking system was saddled with toxic loans before this administration occupied office in May 2015. It is clearly outlined in the Bank of Guyana end of year report 2014 that the level of non-performance loans had increased by 60% and 69.7% respectively. Mr. Speaker, it is evident that the previous administration is the one that is responsible for the creation of toxic loans. This administration, on the other hand, should be commended for salvaging the economy due to its prudent and sound macroeconomic politicals implemented. Mr. Speaker, let's take a look at the water sector. This government remains steadfast and committed in providing potable water to every single Guyanese. In doing so, I will say it every year until we get there. In doing so, protecting our watersheds, expanding coverage, water treatment, and reducing non-revenue water.
Honorable Minister, I do not know whether the Honorable Ganga Prasad wants the floor for any particular. Would you rise, sir? Would you wish the floor?
No, sir, I'm heckling, sir. Sorry, sir.
It's not provided for under the standing orders, sir. I hope you will obey the standing orders. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving my friend over there attention, who I think is craving for attention from me. Mr. Speaker, let me continue. In doing so, protecting our watersheds, expanding coverage, water treatment, and reducing non-revenue water remain top priority under this administration. Entrenched on this objective, the National Water Council, along with the National Water Agency, the operational arm of the council, will be resuscitated. Together, these two initiatives will seek to provide policy-level advice to the Minister on all matters related to the management of our water and resource. Key activities planned for 2016 include a review of the legal mandate for integrated water resource management, as well as establishing baseline hydrographic basin information for regions 9 and 10. Mr. Speaker, the Dakora Creek Watershed Management Plan will serve as the first real pilot of the implementation of an integrated water resources management plan for Guyana. This creek is the main source of water for the newly built treatment plants at West Rock, Linden, and due to the increase in mining, logging, and farming activities, the sustainability of the creek remains susceptible to pollution. In tandem with these initiatives, another area of critical concern is the reduction of non-revenue water, which is critical for the company to achieve break-even. Anchored on these pillars, Mr. Speaker, we will be expending $4 billion in 2016 to improve and expand access to water across Guyana. Under the coastal program, $585 million was allocated to complete the construction of wells, water treatment plants, and distribution mains at Jacoba, Port Moran, Echoes, to name a few, Timeri, among others. Other civil works include the installation of water supply system and distribution network at Yarracabra, Waikabra, and the rehabilitation and upgrading of Cotton Tree and Bartica water treatment plants, amongst others. Upon completion, Mr. Speaker, in excess of 128,000 persons will benefit directly from this investment. Mr. Speaker, with respect to the hinterland water supply, approximately $195 million will be expended. This administration stands firm on its words to bridge the gap between the coast and the hinterland regions. We believe, Mr. Speaker, that potable water is essential, and having access to it, it is a fundamental right of every Guyanese. This year, we will be targeting the completion and upgrading of water supply systems at Madhya, Port Kaituma, Mabaruma, and Paramakatoy. Upon completion, this program will benefit in excess of 14,000 residents. In Linden, we will be spending $229 million to complete the interconnection at Mackenzie Bridge Crossing and mains on east and west bank of Linden. Completion of construction of treatment plants at Wisrock and Amelia's Ward. Reduction of non-revenue water, among others, directly benefiting in excess of 27,200 residents. In Georgetown, Mr. Speaker, we will be expending $226 million to complete the distribution and the transmission mains, well, and storage reservoir at Alboystown, West La Penitence, Meadowbank, among others, benefiting more than 135,000 residents. And finally, approximately $2 billion will be expended for the commencement of construction of new water treatment plants at Iflock, Diamond, and Sheet Anchor, benefiting more than 31,500 residents. Mr. Speaker, this gives us an overall investment per capita of more than 11.9. Given the investment, the following outputs are targeted: construction of 6 new potable water wells, construction of 3 new water treatment plants, installation of 5,000 new water connections, installation of 25 kilometers of transmission and distribution mains. The outcomes of these, Mr. Speaker, will be increase in water coverage on the coastland, increase in water coverage in the hinterland, and reduction in non-revenue water. Mr. Speaker, with respect to the regions, we will be expending in 2016 approximately $32.5 billion, as we heard before, an increase of 27% in comparison to budget 2015. Under the regional education program, approximately 1.3 billion will be expended to improve and extend the educational sector while providing social protection to the vulnerable and disadvantaged group. Some of the flagship projects that we will be executing are construction, extension, rehabilitation, and maintenance of schools in areas such as Aurora, Akuini, Golden Grove, among others. Other key initiatives include the procurement of school buses and school boats to facilitate transportation. And Mr. Speaker, let me pause and explain a little from the little knowledge I know. Equal access does not necessarily mean that if a child lives in Chinawing and he gets $10,000 and a child living in Georgetown gets $10,000, a child in Georgetown will be able to get or to buy more things with the $10,000 compared to the child living in Chinawing, where a school boots cost nearly $8,000 to $10,000. Mr. Speaker, equal access by providing buses. If I'm going to give 30 buses to the children in the Upper Mazruni, they will not be able to use it because they do not have roads. So they have to get boats. If I'm providing buses for the children on the coastline, they will be able to use it. The equity comes where each child have an equal access to education. Whether it's by boat or by bus or by a bicycle. Mr. Speaker,
Honorable member, you have 4 minutes remaining.
Mr. Speaker, I wish to move that the honorable member be given 5 minutes as an extension to our allotted time.
I thank the honorable member. Honorable Minister, you have an additional 5 minutes. You will speak for 35 minutes, a total of 35 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I can remember, and all of us who are here with me, ever since I came into Parliament, I've been asking the previous administration to establish science laboratories, home economic departments to the Lone Secondary School, which is in the Upper Mazruni, Region 7, from which I hail. And so I've been representing to establish these very, very important things that school children should be accessible to. But today I am proud and I'm happy to tell you that we have begun and we have distributed 11 plus more computers to that secondary school. Mr. Speaker, under the Regional Agriculture Program, approximately 427 million will be expended in 2016, consistent with the country's vision to promote the sector by 2020 as a wealth generator and entrepreneurial enterprise, producing food and non-food commodities to meet the needs of the country and our regional and international partners. Anchored on this notion, for the first time, an agriculture component has been included under the regional budget for region number 8. Other new initiatives, and the other regions will follow.
Yes.
Other new initiatives include the development of 4,000 acres of state land for the purpose of constructing an agriculture station at Region 9, construction of greenhouses, rehabilitation of slaughterhouses, among others. Mr. Speaker, this government is cognizant that investment in health is a key input in achieving human resource productivity. In Budget 2016, approximately 722 million will be expended under the Regional Health Program on activities such as procurement of ambulances, rehabilitation and construction of new doctor quarters. For the first time in Bamadai, And Ramadan will be having resident doctors placed at the health center. Mr. Speaker, to address the problem of drugs shortage, approximately $2 billion is budgeted for the procurement of drugs and other medical supplies. In keeping with our mandate to foster integration between the coast and the hinterland while narrowing the gap of living standard. This administration, Mr. Speaker, will be renewing, extending, and expanding our physical infrastructure. In this regard, approximately $1.1 billion will be expended towards the construction and rehabilitation of roads, bridges, co-occurring areas such as Muruka and Maburuma, Wakanam Potential Housing Scheme, amongst others.
Honourable
Mr.
Member, you have 5 minutes remaining.
Mr. Speaker, I conclude by saying that this budget indeed espouses its objective of stimulate growth and restore confidence in the minds of our consumers and investors. I'm sure that our people of this nation, including my friends over there, honorable members, are at peace of mind knowing that a bright future is ahead of us all. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.